Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Courtney and I am here with my little baby Sahid, and I am here to tell you guys the long and short of my birth story. First, I would like to shout out a great YouTuber. She is an extraordinary storyteller, and we are actually doing a collaboration with our birth stories today. So after you guys get done watching my video, if you wanted to head over to Mona Casa, I'm actually gonna put the link to her channel in the description box, and then also her name should come up on the right hand corner a little over there, so that you can kind of look up her channel as well. She told me her birth story, just a little bit about her. Simona is Ghanaian and she is living currently in Germany. She has a 3-month-old baby, just 1 month behind Sahid, and she had an incredible birth story. When I read it, it was so moving. She's an incredible storyteller. So do head over to her channel and see her birth story that she's posting today as well. First, I just want to say congratulations to all the mothers that are expecting. Having a baby is wonderful. I originally wanted to have an all-natural birth, so I did practice hypnobirthing. I'm not going to get into that too much because that's a whole video onto itself, but I purchased a hypnobirthing book and I read the book and I tried to do some meditation and some breathing techniques, and I was fully prepared to use those techniques to help me with the pain. But if I needed an epidural and it came time where they offered it to me, I secretly was thinking in my mind, heck yeah, I'm gonna do the epidural. So that was my birth plan. Basically, I didn't go into very much detail. I just knew that there was a lot of things as a first-time mom that I just was never gonna know, you know, so even if I tried to plan it, it probably wasn't gonna work out as planned. It starts here. I am at my 38-week appointment and I am looking at the doctor, and the doctor says to me, Courtney, your baby is wonderful, your baby is fine, but you need an ultrasound because in a couple weeks when I deliver your baby, I need to know how big this baby is so that I am prepared. Okay. So I make an appointment for an ultrasound, and me and my husband head to the ultrasound. This is a large hospital system that I'm giving birth in, so the ultrasound lab is not in the same place as the doctor's office. And so there's a different doctor that's going to go ahead and look over my ultrasound results and make sure that I get that done. I get the ultrasound. The doctor that is on call that day walks in to analyze my results. He says, you know, now you're 39 weeks and I see that there is a pocket of fluid that is a little abnormal. The fluid is too high, and so if we do not get the baby out like ASAP, then I'm afraid that something bad is going to happen to your baby. I am going to suggest to your doctor that you schedule an immediate induction as soon as possible. You're giving birth ASAP. I was super surprised, and the doctor said 39 weeks is the new 40 weeks. So don't be worried. Research says I am right. Okay, we are in the labor and delivery area. We walk in at 7 o'clock. I am on exactly 39 weeks and 3 days. I was not happy with the idea of having an induction, but because they had said that my baby might be in danger, I definitely was on board to do whatever it took to make sure that my baby came out safe. So I said fine. They start me with Cytotec. Cytotec is a tiny white pill that they stick in your vaginal area up near your cervix, and its job is basically to soften your cervix so that it tricks the organ or the muscle into, you know, going into labor. Cytotec takes 4 hours to work, and after 4 hours, if you are not in labor, they give you another Cytotec. You can only have 5. So, a lot of waiting, a little bit of cramping. After 4 hours, I get another until I have 5 Cytotecs, and it's been almost, you know, 16, 20 hours. The doctor comes in, my doctor comes in. He says, hi, he's super positive, by the way. you are not ripening, you are not softening, so you're going to need to do some extra stuff to make sure that your cervix is ready for delivery. At this point, it's been an entire day and I am exhausted. So I say, do whatever you have to do to get this labor going. I am ready to go. So they suggest to me that I get a Foley balloon inserted into my cervix. They are going to blow up the balloon. The object of the Foley balloon is to trick the cervix into thinking that the baby's head is coming down into the canal and it is ready to, you know, come out. When the baby's head lowers, that's when the cervix knows it's time for the baby to come out and labor begins. So when it is filled up, it's the circumference of a newborn's head, and when it comes out, you are 3 centimeters dilated. I was not happy about the idea of the Foley balloon, and the doctor had to convince me that this was a good idea because anything going into my cervix right now, I knew was gonna hurt immensely. So I say yes, and they insert the Foley balloon. Basically, it was super painful and uncomfortable to go in, but I thought as long as this hurries up and makes the labor, you know, come as soon as possible, it'll be worth it. My cervix did not dilate at all. The nurses had to come in and they had to pull the inflated balloon out of me. So when they ripped that balloon out of me, my cervix immediately dilated 3 centimeters because in order for the balloon to come out, your cervix has to be dilated 3 centimeters. So basically, I was ripped 3 centimeters open. It was the most painful experience I have ever experienced in my whole life. And that is including the actual labor of my baby. Next, I stayed in the hospital for a couple of more hours. They started the Pitocin on me, assuming that my cervix would dilate and that labor would start. Unfortunately, it did not. So in the end, after about 2 days, 2.5 days being tortured in the hospital, they were unable to force me into labor and they sent me home. When I went home, I was unable to walk very well. They had done all kinds of things to my cervix. So I was in pain and I needed pain medicine and it was just horrible. And my doctor calls and he says, come in for another appointment so I can check you out. So I go in and my doctor says, wonderful, you're fine, according to him, but mentally I was distressed. It's time for you to have another induction scheduled at 40 weeks. I said, are you sure that the baby is going to come? Last time we did the induction, it did not work. He says, yes, I am sure this time it will work. I will make it work, or C-section. So I'm like, okay, all right, we'll do it then. I arrived at the labor and delivery at 7 p.m. sharp. Abu was very anxious. He has been wonderful through this whole process. They immediately start the side attack again. I receive 3 pills. The pills help my cervix soften. During that time, my cervix went from 2 centimeters to 4 centimeters, so the side attack definitely worked. At that point, a nurse came in and she started the Pitocin. In a couple more hours, at this point, you know, that the Pitocin is being started, it is morning, it is not evening anymore, so it's early at maybe like 5 a.m. The Pitocin is started, the doctor walks in, he says, today we are having a baby. I was like, you said that last time. Promises, promises. And he was like, I know I said that last time, but for real, today we're having a baby. So I was like, okay, yay, we're having a baby. And I said, but no Foley balloon. And he was like, oh, no, of course not, no Foley balloon. Next, they offer the epidural to me. Now, since I had come in to the labor and delivery ward, they had been shoving the epidural by suggestion down my throat the entire time. Are you in pain? Do you need the epidural yet? Is it time? Are your pain at a 10? And I'm like, no. However, when the Pitocin started, as they increased the Pitocin, the pain actually did increase to about a 4. But by that time, I had been offered the epidural at least like 2 or 3 times. So she comes in, my nurse, and says, are you ready for the anesthesiologist to come yet? I say, yeah, I'm ready for the anesthesiologist to come. Bring her on over here. And then they tell me there's no female anesthesiologist available. The team is all male. So they had to go find another doctor. Now, clearly you see, I am Muslim. And clearly you see, I am veiled. So in the hospital, when I have basically no clothes on and everything from the waist down is hanging out because people need to check it, they had the nerve to say, well, do you mind if a male comes in just to give you your anesthesia? I am like, yes, I mind. Thank you. Go get a woman. Okay, guys, I am a really nice person most of the time, but you have to understand that I had been tortured for 3 days, sent home. I'm back now, and they're also, you know, giving me a hard time now as well. So I am pregnant, it is uncomfortable, and they have tried it for the last time. I wait a little bit and they find a female anesthesiologist from a different wing of the hospital to come over to that wing. So she comes in, she does a phenomenal job. This is where my hypnobirthing came into play. So I was experiencing pain and I was trying to use my hypnobirthing, my meditation, my visualizations the whole time, and it does help. So when she went to do the epidural, they said stay still, and the hypnobirthing worked perfectly. I closed my eyes, I imagined any scenario that would get me away from where I was. So I barely remember there being any pain when the needle pierces your spine. I don't remember anything. It was wonderful. The Pitocin is in. I am experiencing contractions. I have my epidural. The baby is coming. The nurse is called. The head of the nursing unit is called. Everybody's in the room except my doctor. That was a real surprise that my doctor was not coming until basically the baby's head was already coming out. This is the part of the story that I remember as being the most negative. So they tell me you're dilated 10 centimeters. I said, oh, wonderful. It's about, you know, 4 o'clock. I should be having a baby at any moment now. And they said, yes, absolutely. So start pushing. And I said, okay. So I start to push. You're not doing it right. I push again. You're not doing it right. An hour goes by. You're not doing it right. You need to put yourself in a position of a turtle. Push like you're a turtle. And I'm like, oh my God, let me push like I'm a turtle. Okay, so I imagine myself, I am a ninja turtle. I'm pushing, you know, and they obviously got frustrated with me because then the head of the nursing department, who is in the room, she comes over and she starts pushing the back of my neck. Except for she is not pushing it like gently or just a modest amount of pain, you know, just enough to be effective. She is pushing intensely with her entire body. All that weight is being put on my neck. And I am in such pain, I don't even know what to do. So I am pushing. Unfortunately, I was in such a compromising situation where I was just worried about getting my baby out healthy that I did not say the right things. I did not do the right things. I should have told her to get off of me and allow me to push, but unfortunately I was just shy and this was my first baby and I didn't know what to expect, so I just let her, you know, do what I think is her job. My doctor at this point is in the room. He's looking for the baby to come out. He says the head is coming out. This is the end of the labor. I had been pushing for 2 hours. I was exhausted. I felt like I couldn't push not one more time, and they said all you need to do is push one more time effectively in the turtle way. The problem with labor using an epidural is that because you cannot feel anything down there except for like a tingling, you actually don't know how you're pushing, what techniques you're using to push, and so therefore it is really difficult for you to change that. So it's okay, moms, if you spend 2 hours trying to figure that out, especially if you haven't had any training prior to you know, going into labor. What was not okay, besides the nurse pushing down on my shoulders, was the fact that she spent 2 hours making me feel like I was completely incompetent of delivering my own baby. That last hour, the baby did come out. My baby came out 7 pounds and 15 ounces at 6:28 p.m. My induction began 7 p.m. the previous day, and my labor and delivery ended at around 6:30 the next day. His heart rate dropped immediately after he came out of the womb. While this was happening, my doctor sat in front of me and kind of jiggled the end of his cord in order to get the placenta to come out quick, which was totally okay with me. What I did not know at the time was that because the nurses were over, you know, making sure Sahid was okay, which I really appreciate, nobody was with me, and so I was not cleaned in the proper time. The fact that the nurses were not able to clean me up in the proper amount of time resulted in a blood infection. So about 12 hours after I gave birth, I experienced the worst fever I have ever had in my whole life. I am very thankful for my doctor and all the great nurses. I am very thankful for my doctor and all the great nurses that helped me and Zahid during this process. They were invaluable. They saved his life. Because of my blood infection, they saved my life. It is such a wonderful thing that they are there to care for people the way they do. And I don't want you guys to think that anything that I said about, you know, the others that were not as positive involved in the situation has at all colored my opinion about doctors or nurses. They are wonderful, wonderful people overall. This is the happiest time that I've ever had in my whole life. I am the happiest I've ever been in my whole life. And that is what you have to look forward to after you have your baby. Congratulations again, and good luck with your labor and delivery. Bye.